All right. Hello, folks who are here. Thanks for your patience. All the Zooms are plugged in. I don't see my intrepid co-host, Holly Bell, but I think we'll just get started. I see a few attendees. If you have a question, feel free to put it into the Q&A. Just at the bottom of your screen, just say a little Q&A box. And then also, if you could just maybe throw into the chat right now, if you're here, make sure that you can hear me. Without a co-host, I think you can hear me, but I'm just not sure unless you chat. So let me know if you can hear me. And then what I'll pull up is just the talking points that we've been going over at the start of the week, each of these times that we host this meeting. And all right, don't see any chats. Don't see any messages. All right, folks, it might be a short meeting, might be short. In any case, I'll go over a couple things. Let's see, it is Tuesday, September 15th. We are 1 week into the school year. I think for many it has felt very long, and for others has felt like what happened? How did we just start school? Oh, thank you, Mary, for letting me know that you can hear me. So anyone who does have a question, I'll put it in the Q&A. I'll start this evening by sharing my screen and just going over some of the data that's available now and that we're looking at every week. A few folks have, I think, in sort of a fit of looking for sanity, asked, when again? When do we make decisions? How do we know? What about this distance learning thing? And so I'll just review that there is a learning plan that we do look at in terms of comparing cases, average cases for the last 2 weeks of COVID per county where our students are. And right down here, I can scroll down, and what we're looking for is for these numbers to be low. And then secondly, for these numbers to be not increasing. And so what we do see is that in Ramsey and Dakota County, cases increased from the previous week. In Ramsey County, looks like by about 5%, and then in Dakota County by a little less. And then we also still see in Washington County numbers still high, and Hennepin County numbers still high. And when I say high, what I mean is if we were to decide, say, to go from distance learning to a more in-person model, what we would be basing that on is seeing these numbers decreasing and steadily holding at or below 10 for multiple weeks in a row. As a location with multiple age groups, generally it would be difficult for us to run different models for different areas of the school. Secondly, what I have been saying in these calls and what we've been saying in writing is that if you are a family who needs the resource of the campus at the School Resource Center, to please let us know and contact us. And every Thursday in our family communications, we'll be putting out a form where you can fill out an application and let us know if you would like to have your students start attending any part of the week to get in-person support for their learning too. So I don't see any active questions. Maybe you're just tuning in because you want me talking behind you while you're doing the dishes. I'll stop sharing the screen at this point. Specifically, if anyone here has questions, I know there's a few questions that I'll speak to that I've received by email. And so I'll start answering those. And then if anyone here has questions too, they can chime in and let me know. I believe that Holly is here. If a different Holly is showed up, I'll find out in a moment. Holly Bell, is that you? Are you there? Holly, are you reporting live location?
I'm here, hi.
Nice. Holly, I think we should introduce like a weather bit where you're, in the kitchen or you're looking out the window or something.
Good idea. Next week.
Next week. We'll go green screen, the whole thing. Thank you, Holly. Hi. So a couple questions that I received by email this past week. One was specifically about any steps we're taking to prepare the campus for when we do return to in-person learning, specifically around, say, HVAC preparations and or other things we're doing. And so I'll say two things. One, the custodial service that we work with and we've worked with for years now, we have almost double frankly, the cleaning hours put in between days, and that's planned for the whole year. And then also some specific regimens around cleaning all the areas where people were every single day after school with approved soap and water, and then also some non-toxic but virus-killing materials. And so I've talked with lots of parents about what we're using and are we using safe materials, and yes, we are, but specifically the custodial force that I see working is that we have more people coming in to do more careful cleaning of all the areas where people are. And the second thing about HVAC, we are using a MERV 11 filter, and then we're also, which for those of you who are into HVAC, you know what that means, and for those of you who don't, hopefully it sounds convincing. But specifically what that means is the particle size for the filter more effectively stops transmission of particles from place to place. And then secondly, we are looking at possibly introducing some ionizers into our HVAC system, but I want to make sure that we're doing something that is data-based. And so we're working with some folks both at the U of M and then a couple local firms, a couple even with connections to Great River Parents to see if and how ionizers would be effective for airspace, for cleaning the airspace. Secondly, another question that I had is, with a big sigh often, and usually from parents, but from some middle school students, when will the academics begin? When can I have something to do? And so I'll say, in some places they have begun full on, and then in all places they will have fully begun by Monday, the 21st. And so adolescent guides have been planning their courses and pulling things together. And in fact, this coming Friday, most of the adolescent work for students will be asynchronous, and guides will be ready on Monday to start with much more structured academic work. And then for elementary students, I know that your elementary student, if they want or need more structure, one, they can ask for it from their guide, and two, it's also designed into the year. We learned last spring that if we start with basically a lot of things to do, often what we found is that shuts down a part of the community, and some people really engage, but we spend a lot more time trying to chase the folks who aren't engaged yet. And so I think we've built some more momentum around systems to use for that. And so if it hasn't started yet, it will start by Monday, the 21st. And also send some direct feedback if something's really frustrating, because it helps us make, frankly, real-time responses. And so office@greatriverschool.org is a good email to use. And then also we have put out a call line in many places that you can call or text if you've got something that you need. And if sort of last minute you get frazzled and you need help, the school emergency line can be a way that you can connect with support even for distance items. Holly, I don't see any questions from our audience, but I do have a question from a live audience member here with me.
Yes.
You over there?
Should I ask?
Yes, yes, you should ask your question.
I'm a little curious about if I wanted to take my kids on a field trip one day, but it would be educational. I'm wondering, I don't want them to be marked absent necessarily. How can I make sure that, or is that appropriate?
Oh yeah.
And
Holly,
how would I do that?
Holly, could you hear that question?
It was very muted, but when I got closer to my computer, I could hear your beautiful wife's voice.
Isn't that ironic that, well, I don't know who it is. It's a dark audience here. I'm on a stage, you know.
Someone who's nobody I know could be asking.
Yeah. Well, so the question was, I'll repeat it as any good facilitator would. The question was, I'd like to take my students, you know, my own kids, say if I'm a parent, I'd like to take my kids on a field trip, say on a Wednesday, but I don't want them to be marked absent from school. The field trip, in fact, might relate exactly to what they're studying, or it might be follow-up work, or who knows, but is educational. So what should I do? Is that appropriate? So I'll say a few things. One, in distance learning, totally appropriate to take a engaged out in the world field trip that, of course, you know, keeps you and others safe. So specifically, what should you do? You should let your class teacher know. So that could be your classroom teacher in the elementary. That could be your class teacher or advisor in the lower adolescent program. And then in the 9th through 12th program also, upper adolescent ninth year program, you should just let your teachers know ahead of time. And in generally, that will be okay. Rarely there will be an event or a specific thing that can't be repeated. And so you just want to let them know a little bit ahead of time. And then if there's any work or anything that you should be caught up on, they'll be able to let you know. And Holly, what else should we do?
On the day of the absence or the field trip,
yeah,
you should send an email to attendance@greatriverschool.org so that your child is marked excused instead of unexcused.
Yes, and really that Holly, Director of First Impressions, knows where that student is. Because even in distance learning, every day, Holly and our Dean of Students and some other folks on the team go through and make sure that we have accounted for you. We still are tracking you. We still keep you in mind. And so we want to know. So email, just like you would have when we were in-person school, you want to email attendance at, you can ask office at questions, but attendance at lets us know what's going on. So we've even had folks let us know specifically around things like, this day I have a doctor's or dentist or other appointment, and so we'll miss afternoon classes just like normal. Or let us know, and it's been thoughtful, even distance learners have let us know and families have let us know that either they've tested positive for COVID-19 or they're going to get tests or they have symptoms. And that also helps us gauge sort of the experience of the extremities of the school physically right now in terms of you're not on campus, but letting us know that you're experiencing either symptoms or positive tests does let us know what your student might need in terms of, 2 weeks of quarantine and or dealing with symptoms and or even just a family member with symptoms can be really overwhelming. And so it helps us keep that in mind too. So you over there in the audience, go on your field trip and then email attendance at, and Holly will know where you're at. And let your teachers know too.
Yeah. And if you forget your teachers, I will forward the attendance email to the teachers.
Yes. If you forget your teachers, remember Holly. That's the message here. Good.
Director of First Impressions. Yeah.
Good. Also, for any elementary folks who are on this call currently or are watching at home, you should know that many of the classrooms have sent out invites that I think are Q&As tonight at 6:30 that you can go attend. And then those Q&As are also a good place to ask elementary classroom specific questions of the guides who are there.
Oh, we lost you.
Oh, I'm just stopping my video just for a minute, just to make sure everything's working.
Okay.
So you don't have to see me do this. Oh, sorry. There you are. Okay. Yeah. In any case, so folks who are here, we got a couple shout outs to teachers who have been very patient. I also received a couple emails this week celebrating the experiences kids were having in distance learning and at the School Resource Center, thanks to the adults. And then also some frankly honest messages of, I'd say in the hair removal category, like I'm pulling on my hair so hard, this is bonkers, what do I do? Just about distance learning and structure. And so I will repeat, this is a hard time, and if you need more structure at home, you can ask us for it. Sometimes your teacher is the place to go for that. They're definitely a place to go for more curriculum or more work if you just want more work. Also though, you can let us know what your general experience is at Office At, and you can also let us know in the Thursday survey. So I and at least 5 other folks are reading those survey results and using them to make real-time adjustments, decisions, and changes in what we do. And so it really, really is helpful to hear from you. A couple families, I think, have emailed just this past week saying, we've been worried since July and we finally have emailed. And so I just would say, if you've got worries, then please email now. That's all. I'm gonna hand an audience member a device so that they can go attend an elementary night. So.
Damn, there's, bye Heather. There's,
Bye, Holly.
see you later.
Yeah.
There's one question in the chat.
Oh, there is, okay. Let's
Do
see.
you have any new concerns about school this year?
New concerns about school this year?
Yeah, it's vague,
Yeah, here we go.
because I did it.
Oh, office at attend. Oh, I see. Can you qualify that question, Holly?
No.
Oh, okay. New concerns about school. So to be very concrete and not logistical, we spent the whole summer addressing any concerns that I would have about the site of the school or about whether or not we should be in distance learning or hybrid or in person. And so I think concern would not be the word to describe what I'm experiencing right now. It would be, it would not be a metaphor for me to say we're weathering, some intense weather. We're weathering a storm right now, and so I check on things. I make sure that we're following through on the safety items that we committed to, and making sure that we're doing our best to serve a population of students right now where some families want to be in person, and that is the healthiest choice for them. Some families won't leave their house maybe to go anywhere publicly really for the next 6 or 7 months, and that's a commitment they've made. And I don't think we need to choose between how to do that. And I think right now what we're doing is frankly a stupendous and cooperative event of providing some distance learning structures and then also giving a place for students to be on campus if they need to be to learn. And I know that I would just want to say Jean Peters and Wendy Fisher and other folks who are on campus, Derek Damron and Matt McElrath and Jim Parker and Stacy Ward have all, and Seth Tempest and everybody who's going to campus almost daily have really stepped up in creating a good learning environment there. And we've also heard from families and students about what's working and what's not working. Even last week, we heard from parent and employee Hadley Musselman about, some things that weren't working, and we responded and hopefully improved them right away. But what I mean cooperative, what I mean is, everyone's weathering a storm right now and kind of wondering what their school will be like and will it hold together in the storm. And so I don't have, I suppose, new concerns, accepting that I think we're living at a time when it is rare to weather storms together. And so I think a lot of the things that make our school unique are the Montessori materials you get to handle and the key experiences that we go on together and the way that we are with each other physically in the same space. And so we are a school, frankly, of aspirations, and that really counts on us being in the same space to breathe the same air. And so to be in a time when we can't do that, I know is stressing the school and the families a little bit. But in terms of new concerns, I actually think I'm really excited about the way our adolescent guides are engaging with assessment and grading. And specifically, I'll give a little plug to 2 weeks from tomorrow. I believe there will be an adolescent parent education night to talk about generally, I believe our upper adolescent program director, Melanie Peterson Nafziger, 2 weeks from tomorrow. You've heard it here first because you'll hear it in the newsletter on Thursday, but we'll be presenting on standards-based assessment and a holistic assessment that is used by universities, graduate schools, and the IB program internationally that we are using this year with adolescent students that we think is really an appropriate fit for how things are going. Holly has a barking dog, which I think is hilarious. Also, another thing that I think is happening this year that is good for students overall is the way classes are more intensive. So 3 classes at a time for adolescent students in the adolescent level. I think that's good for adolescent students. And so I'm actually interested to see how we get to try these things that in the before times, when so much was invested in the reputation, the routine that was working, and the success that was working, folks didn't want to change too many things to try to maybe improve them. And then I also will say that I think that for elementary students specifically, I know we're working, both thinking day and night and working hard to make sure that teachers have a sane job this year, and we still provide students with something engaging, even from distance learning. We as a school understand and believe distance learning is not the best way to engage with each other. And it's also right now the most stable model that we can use. So I look forward though to some more field trips, some more meetings, and then some more ways also for the families who are committed to distance learning this year, which at our last gauge was about a third of our families still or more really saying not comfortable sending our kids to school right now. So I'm keeping those concerns in mind, but in terms of new concerns, follow up if I didn't answer your question.
It was perfect.
Yeah. Do you need help with anything that a family can help with? You know, I see families connecting with each other and offering, I think I have said this, the resource of time to me seems to be the thing that is most valuable and least available to families who are maybe stressed. And I don't mean, I suppose, I don't mean perhaps the student doesn't have enough time at home. I mean specifically the time to spend with that student to work through a challenge, or like a younger student especially, really needing a lot of connection and structure in the day. So I think if you feel as a family you have the resource of time to give, or the resource of anything else to give, please let us know. And what I do foresee is I'll be in touch with the folks who have volunteered for PEG this week, and then I think in the next 10 days or so, we'll be ready to start recruiting more families too. But I would plug in actually, if you're a lower elementary family, to something that started, and we'll send a reminder to all lower L families about tomorrow, which is the lower elementary family. I think it's just a time for a check-in. And so basically it's support network. So building relationships between lower L families. Lower L parent Kathleen Erickson hosts that. And it's a parent organized, parent run, caregiver welcome event where Kathleen starts a Zoom and people join, and then I think get in breakout rooms and just talk about how it's going. And so I know one of the things they're focusing on, I think last week and this week, is, you know, how can we help each other? And so there's brainstorming and ideas coming out of that. So there's nothing specifically on campus to help with yet, though there may be some work parties to construct outdoor classroom shelters so we can start having more meetings on campus too. Well, I don't see any other questions. All right, folks who are here, kind of a last call for questions. Oh, I heard Spiritware is available for purchase. How do you access that? Indeed, Spiritware is available, and we are even producing Spiritware through a local organization partner that, because they are printing it and that's all they do is print stuff for organizations. When you order the Spiritware, they will print it, they will package it, and I believe they will send it. And so you access that, I believe, through our last newsletter, and then I believe very shortly it will be posted on our school's website, and that will be running through the year. And so we'll make sure to put it in this Thursday's newsletter too. And if you want, say, something that's not there, so I think we have socks, sweatshirts, t-shirts. I think anything else, Molly? What?
Sweatpants.
And sweatpants. Right now, we just have those items. If there's something that you don't see, you know, maybe you need a tie, or you really are looking for a, I'll stop. I was just, a mask, a logoed mask. Let us know if you want us to add to the merchandise. But at this point, we aren't able to accommodate, say, you bring in your own sweatshirt, we print on it, nor are we able to change the stock. But we may soon. I'm gonna start campaigning to name the 3 different socks that we have. So it's like business, athleisure, and camping, or something like that.
I love the socks with the little heron footprints all over.
Oh yeah.
I bought one for each of my family members.
I thought you were gonna say for each foot.
I know. Yeah. I bought one for each.
One pair.
No, for each of my family members.
Oh, nice.
I'm so excited about them.
Oh, good.
So
good.
cute.
I like that. And then there's another, I feel like there's another question that I've heard this past week. And specifically, I think, I'll just try to frame it. It's coming from a place of curiosity and not necessarily pushiness, but a little bit like, hey, can you just tell us when you think we might go back to school? And so I'll say this. I've tried to be as clear as possible. We need a lot of time to change a learning model. And we've taken a lot of time to really plan for distance learning, and we've invested time and energy to set it up, both because we have staff who are immune compromised and can't be coming in, and families who are immune compromised and can't be coming in. And the reality, as I think has been asked earlier this summer, of say switching from this distance learning model to a hybrid model would be that teachers are really planning and investing right now to do their best work in the model we're in. So with that as a starting point, we're not going to make any switches quickly. And I've been saying also, and this is I think still reliable, the cases per county that we're counting right now are still around 20. And at that level, the state of Minnesota still does specifically recommend that it would be hybrid learning for all students at very most. And so what I want to identify is that I'm seeing that in order to really do effective case counting or protection of our teachers or monitoring of our community, we need to see those case counts much closer to 10 and steady, not rising. But we also really need to see available local and regional testing, contact tracing, and then the predictable availability of testing so we know exactly when we'll get results back. So we don't do what I've heard, read, and seen at many other schools in the area, which is even if you start hybrid or in person because your numbers allow you to, and I've seen this in some of the more outstate areas, it takes one case to pause your school for 2 weeks, and then teachers are scrambling to try to do something distance learning wise. And so I do think as we enter cold and flu season, I look forward to knowing what are the case counts, how is this looking even during cold and flu season, and then really having a model that allows us to stay reliable for you and predictable and consistent for students. And if we saw case counts per 10,000 steadily decline, say over the course of 4 weeks and hold, then we would start considering how to do that plan. But if you're a teacher who's watching, if you're a family member who's watching, we're not going to spring that plan on anybody very quickly. And so just like in any storm, there is this point at which you just wish it was over and you want to go outside. You know, we're not going to be able to do that right now safely. And so don't hunker down, but instead I would say, look at the resources you have. If you don't feel like you have enough to make it through this and weather this, contact me and us at school, and we're going to do our best to find a solution that works for you, because really at this point we're providing in-person support for the families who need it. We're doing our best to really improve this distance learning experience for students. And so teachers have been very patient. A lot of people have chatted that, but I also want to thank families and students for their patience as the school year starts. And, you know, without putting it too bluntly, for sticking with this community in a way that requires of you some discomfort, you know. So we will have key experiences. Again, we will have classes in person. Again, we will in fact manipulate Montessori materials even this year. Students at the Resource Center, or you as a distance learner, we're working on how to produce those kinds of things. And we have been working throughout the summer to try to gauge a really unpredictable situation. So thank you for being here, everybody. And I think the here that we're being is sometimes the campus when you think about Great River School. But for me, it's often the dedication I see that graduates have to each other when they graduate. And they may not, frankly, have even been that close emotionally, but they know that they could call each other if they needed to move out of an apartment at a moment's notice, because they've all helped each other get through other hard times too. And so that's where I see, I suppose, our community right now is in the midst of a hard time. And it takes multiple positions to keep a school going. You know, the teachers have a lot of work to do to generate a lot of the learning experiences. But you as families and students keep us going also by being direct and honest, by asking for what you need, and by speaking up if something isn't working for you. That speaking up allows us to figure out how to get something to work for you and then make this school still be a learning community. And so I think that's my theme for the next month is we got to keep this learning community learning and community. Yep.
That was very,
Okay. What's that, Holly?
that was very nice. Thank
Oh,
you.
geez. Well, thanks. I haven't even had dinner yet. I know. Just think what that would look like. Yeah. Okay, well, those folks who are still here, thank you for coming tonight. I think we're going to do some specifics next week that will preview in the newsletter about what Tuesday will be. And then again, 2 weeks from tomorrow, Melanie Peterson-Nafziger on a Wednesday will talk about standards-based assessment and holistic assessment that's being used now throughout the whole adolescent program. And then our lower adolescent program director, Tammy Lindberg, 2 weeks from Thursday, which, forgive me, Holly, for not remembering 16th, 17th. Are there 31 days in September?
30.
30. So I believe October 1st, Thursday, October 1st, Tammy Lindberg will be talking generally about lower adolescent programming and how to support your lower adolescent student in their academic work, which, when does academic work really start? It has started for most, and even for lower adolescent students who are really working a lot on the construction of identity and understanding each other, there is a method to what we're doing. We're talking a lot about how to be respectful. And I know sometimes it can feel, I guess I would say tenuous, and sometimes tedious, but it does prepare us to move through and perhaps even avoid some of the common junior high academic barriers, which are often self-consciousness, not being willing to take chances in front of your friends or peers, and then sort of wondering if you're the only one who thinks something. So all the things that we've been doing are designed around addressing those sort of chance-taking moments that help learning happen. And so as academics start overtly on Monday, I do see a lot of the basis for them having been set even right now. And then for elementary, a lot of questions that I'm seeing elementary teachers receive from families, I just want to say this as a closer, are totally appropriate. And then sometimes they're kind of big questions that don't belong to the teacher, like about the school or transportation or philosophy in general, or, you know, what can we do at home better? And so I would encourage families, and I'll be encouraging teachers to, if it's in the teacher's realm, to answer that question. And if it's not in the teacher's realm, if it's a help for technology, if it's about Schoology, if it's about attendance or the office, to just be able to reply and say, I've CC'd the office here, they'll answer you. And we'll make sure to keep answering your questions, families. So thank you, teachers. Thank you, students. Thank you, families. Have a wonderful Tuesday evening. Bye, Holly.
Bye, Sam.